Darrell Sheets, widely known as one of the most iconic and fearless personalities from the hit reality TV series Storage Wars, built his reputation as the gambler due to his extreme risk-taking style in storage unit auctions, where he would often invest large amounts of money into sealed storage lockers without knowing exactly what was inside, relying purely on instinct, experience, and intuition. And over the years, this bold strategy made him both a fan favorite and a controversial figure in the auction world, as sometimes he would strike gold with valuable finds that turned into massive profits, including one of his most famous discoveries, which was a collection of rare artwork reportedly worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, instantly boosting his fame and solidifying his position as one of the standout stars of the show when Storage Wars first premiered in 2010 on A&E, a time when reality television was heavily focused on competitive, high-energy formats that showcased real people engaging in unusual professions. And Darrell's loud personality, aggressive bidding style, and emotional reactions made him perfect for television, as audiences were drawn to his unpredictable nature and the constant suspense of whether his risky bids would pay off or result in losses. But behind the entertainment value and dramatic auction moments, his journey was also filled with financial pressure. Since the storage auction business itself is highly unpredictable and involves hidden risks where buyers may overpay for lockers filled with junk or occasionally discover hidden treasures, meaning that, while Darrell experienced some major wins, he also faced significant losses that are rarely highlighted on television. And as his fame grew, so did the attention on his personal life, with fans becoming increasingly interested not just in his auction strategies, but also in his background, family life, and the challenges he faced outside of the show, especially as reality TV fame often brings sudden lifestyle changes that can be difficult to manage. And like many reality television stars, Darrell experienced the highs of popularity as well as the lows of changing screen time, shifting production focus, and the eventual natural decline of long-running shows, where newer cast members and evolving storylines often push original personalities into the background. And although he remained a recognizable figure in the Storage Wars franchise for many years, his role gradually became less central as the show progressed, leading him to step back from the spotlight and focus more on his personal life and business interests, while still being remembered by fans as one of the most legendary bidders in the history of the series. And even though rumors and misleading online headlines sometimes circulate about celebrities in the reality TV world, the real story of Darrell Sheets is not about dramatic fabricated events, but rather about a man who took an unconventional career path, embraced risk in a way most people avoid, and became famous for turning abandoned storage units into stories of profit and loss that captivated millions of viewers around the world. And today, his legacy continues through reruns of Storage Wars and the lasting impression he left on fans who still associate him with the thrill of the auction floor, the suspense of sealed lockers, and the unforgettable energy he brought to every episode, making him not just a TV personality, but a symbol of high-risk reward culture in modern reality television, where success is never guaranteed, but the possibility of life-changing discoveries keeps both bidders and viewers hooked to the experience. And that is why even years after his peak fame, Darrell Sheets remains a widely searched and talked about figure online, as audiences continue to look back on his most famous moments, biggest wins, and overall contribution to one of the most successful reality TV formats of its time. Darrell Sheets, widely known as one of the most iconic personalities from Storage Wars, didn't just become famous by accident, but through years of experience in the unpredictable world of storage unit auctions, where every bid carried risk, and every locker could either contain junk or hidden treasure. And what made him stand out from other buyers was not just his willingness to spend large amounts of money on sealed units, but his deep understanding of patterns, timing, and instinct that allowed him to sometimes identify valuable lockers based on very limited visual clues, making him both respected and feared in the auction circles. And as Storage Wars grew into a major television hit after its debut in 2010, Darrell's character quickly became central to the show's success, because audiences were not just watching auctions but watching his personality unfold under pressure, where every episode felt like a gamble not only with money but with reputation. And his nickname, the Gambler, was just a branding choice but a reflection of how he approached life, always willing to take chances that others would avoid, even when the odds were unclear or stacked against him. And over time, this attitude led him to some of the most memorable moments in reality television history, including the discovery of rare items inside storage units that turned out to be worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, moments that were heavily featured in the show's highlight reels and helped cement his legacy as one of the most successful and entertaining bidders in the franchise. But behind these high points, there were also many losses that were not always shown on screen, including situations where he overpaid for lockers that contained little to no value, a reality that is common in the storage auction industry, but often hidden from audiences who only see the dramatic wins. And as fame began to grow, Darrell Sheets also experienced the pressure that comes with being a television personality, where public expectations, editing decisions, and storyline production all play a role in shaping how a person is perceived by millions of viewers. And while he enjoyed the recognition and opportunities that came with his success, the long-term impact of reality TV fame also brought challenges, including changes in personal privacy, business dynamics, and the natural ups and downs of being in a competitive entertainment environment, where new cast members and evolving formats gradually shift attention away from original stars. And as Storage Wars continued for multiple seasons, Darrell's presence remained strong, but eventually became less central as the show diversified its cast and storylines, leading him to step back from the main spotlight while still being recognized as one of the foundational figures who helped build the show's early success. And during this transition period, he continued to maintain involvement in storage auctions and related business activities, applying years of experience in a more private and controlled environment, away from constant television cameras. And fans who followed his journey from the beginning continued to express interest in his life, even after his regular appearances decreased, often revisiting his most famous auction moments and discussing his legacy as one of the boldest bidders in reality TV history. And what makes his story particularly interesting is not just the entertainment value, but the deeper reflection it offers on risk-taking, decision-making, and the unpredictable nature of success. Because in many ways, Darrell Sheets represents a broader theme of how opportunity and uncertainty often coexist, especially in industries where outcomes depend on limited information and fast judgment. And this is why his character resonated with so many viewers who saw in him a mix of confidence, risk tolerance, and emotional intensity that made every auction feel like a high-stakes game. And even though online content sometimes exaggerates or distorts celebrity stories for clicks, the real narrative of Darrell Sheets remains grounded in his actual career achievements and struggles, showing a journey that includes both financial highs and lows, moments of public recognition, and the quieter reality of life after peak fame, where the excitement of television is replaced by more stable but less visible routines. And today his name still carries weight among fans of Storage Wars, who remember the golden era of the show when each episode delivered suspense, competition, and surprise discoveries. And his legacy continues, not because of sensational rumors, but because of the authentic impact he had on a unique genre of reality television that blended real business with entertainment, making storage auctions a global curiosity and turning ordinary storage lockers into symbols of mystery, risk, and possibility. And in that sense, Darrell Sheets remains a lasting figure whose story reflects both the thrill and the uncertainty of chasing opportunity in a world where outcomes are never guaranteed. And that is why even years later, his name continues to appear in searches, discussions, and nostalgic conversations among fans who remember the energy he brought to the screen and the unforgettable moments that defined his time on Storage Wars. Beyond the spotlight of television cameras and edited storylines, Darrell Sheets' journey also reflects the real-life challenges that come with turning an unusual profession into a public identity. Because while Storage Wars presented storage auctions as fast-paced entertainment filled with suspense and big wins, the reality of the business is far more complex, involving careful financial judgment, patience, and the ability to accept losses without emotional collapse. And Darrell's approach to this world was always defined by intensity, since he rarely hesitated when he believed a locker had potential, often trusting his gut feeling over cautious analysis, a trait that made him both successful and unpredictable. And this unpredictability became a major reason why audiences continued watching him season after season, because every appearance carried the possibility of something extraordinary happening, whether it was a massive win that changed his financial outlook or a risky decision that led to disappointment. And this emotional roller coaster became part of his identity on the show, shaping how fans perceived him not just as a bidder but as a personality driven by instinct and passion. And as years passed and Storage Wars evolved with new cast members and shifting production focus, Darrell's role naturally transitioned from central star to veteran presence, someone who represented the early spirit of the show while newer personalities took the spotlight. But even as his screen time changed, His influence on the franchise remained strong because he helped define the tone and excitement that made the series popular in the first place. And outside of television, Darrell continued to engage with the auction world in a more private capacity, applying his years of experience to real-world deals and maintaining a connection to the industry that originally brought him success, while also navigating the personal realities of aging, changing media attention, and the slowdown that comes after years of public exposure. And like many reality TV figures, he experienced how fame can be both rewarding and temporary, offering moments of recognition and financial opportunity, while also fading as audience interests shift and entertainment trends evolve. Yet what remains consistent in his story is the impression he left on viewers who watched him take risks that most people would never consider, and that legacy continues to define his name even today, as fans still revisit clips of his biggest wins and most dramatic auction moments, discussing how his strategy sometimes seemed reckless, but often delivered unforgettable results. And in many ways, Darrell Sheets became a symbol of a certain kind of American entrepreneurial spirit, one that embraces uncertainty and finds opportunity in overlooked places, even if it means facing failure along the way. And this is why his story continues